All right, guys. So about a week ago, I made a video about how to start a business and the 3 types of businesses to start. And it sounded like from the comments, a ton of you learned a lot of new information from this. And so today I wanted to talk about one of the best business models I've seen. And I know you've seen it too. And I need to explain to you why it's so good so that you can implement this in some shape, form, or fashion into your current business. So one of the best examples I saw of this was a used Lego store in my town. So one of my buddies was telling me about this, and I really sat there, thought about the model, and I was like, wait a minute, this is absolutely genius. So the whole concept is that the owners of the store will buy Legos from people, used sets, right? You bring in your sets, and they'll either give you, 50% of its value in cash, or they'll give you 75% of its value in store credit. So 90% of the time, people are going to be choosing store credit because it's more money, and they'll probably end up buying Lego sets anyway. So let's take, for example, a $100 Lego set. The store bought it for $75, right? And now they're going to take it, put it on the shelves, and then sell it for its original cost. So not only are they making the 25% on the purchase price, but when they raise the price by 25%, now they have a 50% margin in there where they just made $50 on a $100 Lego set. And you're probably sitting there like, wait a minute, no, he didn't. You only made $25 because you bought and then sold the set once. No, you're wrong. Because that person who chose store credit is going to turn around and buy another $100 Lego set. So again, we are making $50 margin on a $100 investment. Literally tell me any investment that can make you 150% of its value within a week. So anyway, I had to go see this store for myself. So I went into my local Lego reuse store, and I ended up sitting there for about an hour on a Monday, a Friday, and a Saturday. And I kind of counted the number of people who were coming in and out of the store and how many of those people bought a set. So within the 3 hours I was there, about 1 hour each day, nearly 15 people bought or sold a set, meaning that these stores are actually pretty popular. This is just specifically Lego, but the same business model applies everywhere. Anyway, after counting this, I did a quick calculation on the expenses of the rent on the space, the expense of having employees, and it turns out that this store, after expenses, was making about $20,000 a month, which is absolutely insane, especially for buying and selling Lego. And seeing that a lot of the purchases that were made were in cash, I don't know. I'm not a tax expert, but I don't know if that shows up on your taxes. Anyway, this is specific to Lego, but again, this business model applies everywhere. If you think about it, they've done this business model over and over again. GameStop, for example, didn't pan out for them too well because games aren't as popular as they used to be. But another good example would be a car dealership. They're doing the exact same thing, but on a higher scale. They're buying your $50,000 car from you for $35,000. And then they're turning around and you're buying a car from them, right? So again, they're making like 50% margin on you. So maybe you don't have the money to sit there and start up a car dealership, but maybe you have a hobby that you want to get into and turn into a full-time business. I think having a physical store would be a fantastic example of this. I live in a city of about 3 million people, and I kind of did the math. I was like looking at a couple of different spaces you could rent out in high foot traffic areas, and the space plus utilities plus having staff. I mean, all in, it's going to be costing you about $4,000 a month. So maybe you save up $48,000, you run this business for a year, and you see if you can make anything. If you can't, then ditch the idea, finish the lease, get off the lease, and switch to the next business. But if you can make something, which if you're using this business model, I guarantee that you can, I think that this is a very, very worthwhile investment you can make in your time with your money. And I guess all of this kind of stems from me researching retail businesses. I told you guys in my last video on starting a business that retail businesses don't usually do well. And in my experience, this has been things I've seen from friends who own grocery stores, bigger chains like Best Buy or some kind of coffee shop. Just from what I've seen, the foot traffic does not make up for the amount of money it takes to run a physical business. And so I wanted to retract my statement. Physical businesses don't do well if you're doing the wrong thing. If you pick this business model that I told you about today and you choose something that's very popular, right? Legos are very popular right now. You know, if you do something like this for like cassettes, it might not be as popular as you believe, right? So pick the correct thing and really do your research. Use ChatGPT and figure out if the business you're starting will be profitable. So for example, I was chatting with ChatGPT the other day and wanted to know if buying or building a car wash was a good business model. And in my area, from what I learned, it is not a good business model. Basically, if you're taking out a loan to buy or build this, after 30 years, you'll probably be profitable, but the amount of expenses that you incur every single month trying to operate that thing and paying off your loan, you just can't make it back in my area. And that is solely due to the reason that half of the year it's literally too cold to wash your car in Kansas. And so by me doing this research and me understanding what it takes to have a car wash, I could rule that out as a bad idea. Now, if you live somewhere warm all year like California or Texas, this might make more sense as a business model to you, but in my area, it just didn't. So that's what I mean by pick the correct business for what you are doing in your area and really figure out if it works. I mean, before we had ChatGPT, people would crunch the numbers and they'd literally run their business into the ground. It just wouldn't work in today's standards. But now that we have this tool, chat back and forth, figure out the real costs and the real prices associated with things, and figure out how to succeed. I really appreciate y'all who made it to the end of this video, and I appreciate the one guy who watches all of my videos the second they come out. I just want you to know, I notice you, and I really do appreciate you, but if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button because it's free and you'll probably never see this channel again. And I've only got like 30 subs. And so it would mean the world to me because I'm literally dropping some insane advice on y'all. But I appreciate y'all for watching and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.